Okay, so recently I saw Stranger Things for the very first time and have been reviewing it on this channel. I've had my fair share of gripes here and there, but overall it's a show that has quickly captured my heart with its lovable characters, iconic sequences, and I loved the direction that the 5th and final season was going in with its first 4 episodes. I'm sure I'm not alone in spending the last month just waiting in anticipation for Volume 2 to come out, but I also don't think I'm alone in feeling a little bit confused after watching those 3 episodes. Now, let me just preface before we get into this and you think that I hate Stranger Things now or that Volume 2 is terrible. That's not true. I still overall really enjoyed Volume 2, okay? Please, don't come for me. I liked it, I swear. I had a good time with it, okay? I think it was solid and had some incredibly high moments, but I also feel like there were some scenes, characters, and storylines that I just didn't quite get. And looking at social media, I'm clearly not the only one who feels this way. So today I'm going to break down these 3 new episodes of Stranger Things, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and give my thoughts before the show ends in just a few short days. Before we get into it though, please do subscribe to the channel if you're new and enjoy the content. I'm trying to hit 100,000 subscribers before the end of next year, and currently we're 3% of the way, so any help would be greatly appreciated. So firstly, let's talk about some of my more general thoughts on Volume 2 before delving deeper into the individual characters. I want to mention something that I mentioned briefly in my Volume 1 review that is way more relevant this time round, and that is, holy shit, the plot armor, it's out of control now. I'm sorry, it is. Stranger Things has had considerable plot armor for quite a while at this point. Season 1 and 2 were pretty believable when it came to characters surviving, but when the stakes began to ramp up in later seasons, it became a little jarring watching these regular human beings survive these otherworldly forces with such ease. I did talk about how I felt the Demogorgons were significantly nerfed when it came to the main cast, but stayed ruthless for the military in my Volume 1 review, and I hate to say it, but that criticism of mine is kind of cranked up to 11 in this volume. I'm sorry, but I found it so hard to feel any kind of stakes throughout these 3 episodes when I just know that these characters can't die. Maybe in the finale because it's the last episode of the show, but up until this point there's been no risk. Let me just give a few examples. At the start of episode 5, we find Lucas with some serious scratch marks across his chest from a Demogorgon, a pretty significant injury, but don't worry, he just hobbles for a bit and then is fine a couple scenes later. That's one of the more tame examples, sure, but how about the weird gooey shit solidifying around Nancy and Jonathan instead of continuing to fill the room because it decides to? There is nothing that triggers this. The danger is just totally removed because the scene has ended. Nancy is apparently a better shot than several highly trained military officers, and she kills them all with no trouble at all, despite having no official training herself. In the hospital, the Demogorgons have no problem mauling the military soldiers, but when they come face to face with Robin and Vicky, they use the excuse of, oh, they're not after us, they're after Max. And for that point, I noticed this whole thing of the bigger the threat the Demogorgons perceive, the more aggressive they are. However, you'd think that through the hive mind, Vecna would be telling these demos,
oh hey, see that girl there, the one with the leather jacket? Yeah, she was one of the ones who almost killed me last time and is actively plotting against me, so yeah, you should probably kill her on your way, just to be safe, you know.
Probably a bit stupid to leave her alive. Don't get me started on Lucas stopping himself from getting killed by a Demogorgon by kicking it so hard that it stumbles backwards despite the fact that it was running towards him at Mach 2. And okay, I was just told that these are Demodogs, not Demogorgons, the weaker ones, but still, a kick is a bit ridiculous. The issue is that these characters are so cemented into pop culture now that the writers are scared to kill any of them. They're afraid of the backlash they'll get if any of these beloved characters die, so they do some insane writing gymnastics to get them out of any situation where they could be in danger. It just makes the season not as intense to watch, I'm sorry. Also, as a little result of this, the show can feel so overcrowded sometimes. I said this in my original review about season 4, but in season 5 it's more relevant, because this time around the main cast is counting 20 characters, not including secondary characters, by the way. The Duffer Brothers' reluctance to kill any of their cast can make the show feel very bloated, especially if you compare it to earlier seasons. Anyway, now a good thing to reset the tone, Will Byers is still pretty fucking great. He's probably the best character of the season still. And I have to give credit to Noah Schnapp because the writing given to Will this season demands a lot of him emotionally, and he delivers a strong performance every time. Like, you know, every other screen he's in, he's crying about something or other, and as an actor, that must be very difficult. And you know, we have to talk about the coming out scene. It's already been talked about a lot, and from what I've seen, it's been pretty controversial. People have a lot of very strong and very conflicting opinions on it. My thoughts are that I really liked it. I did think it was a bit strange having like Steve and Murray, and especially Carly there. You've known her for like 9 minutes. What could she possibly have to contribute to this? But I thought that Will's speech was excellent. The reception from all of his friends and family was very heartwarming, and to do something like that in the 80s is unbelievably challenging, so it was great to see it go so well. I also like that they worked it into the plot. Vecna was playing tricks on Will's mind, trying to get him to be scared of his identity again, because he knows that when Will accepts himself for who he is, that's when his powers reach their peak. So he reminds him that he's out of place and a freak amongst his friends, showing him all the poor ways that they react to his true self. So Will knew that he had to open up to the group so that he could be fully 100% sure that Vecna is full of shit and has nothing on him. It was a clever way to do a coming out scene and have it matter to the overall story. So yeah, cool scene, cool character. Will's pretty great. Back to a negative point now. I'm kind of ping-ponging between feelings to keep the video at a balance. Call me Marty Supreme. Let's talk about Max's escape from Camazos. Let's just get out of the way. I'm sure if you've been on social media this week, you've seen a lot of memes about this scene, and yeah, for good reason, because when watching it back, this scene kind of fucking sucks. Max and Holly are both brilliant this season, by the way, and I love their dynamic, so I'm in no way criticizing their characters, just this one scene. Max spending like 5 full minutes giving Holly a monologue about self-belief is fine, but I found it impossible to feel any of the emotion from that moment because, oh my god, stop fucking standing there and start moving! We know that they don't stay open forever. This is established, and Max has already been shut out once, so why on God's green earth would she not give this speech to Holly beforehand? You know, tell her on the way over here, oh yeah, by the way, when your portal opens, I won't be able to come with you, but just know that you got this. Why wait until you're in front of the portal when literally a million things could go wrong? And even then, when they finally do get going, there's no urgency. Like, why are we walking, Max? This is literally life or death. They tried to recreate the feeling of the scene from Dear Billy, but missed the mark completely because the original running up that hill scene had both urgency and emotion. Whereas now Max and Holly seem to be completely chill about taking their sweet time, and as a result, it just leaves the viewer stressed instead of allowing them to soak in the words that are being said. Additionally, the cut to black at the end of the episode, in my opinion, lessens the impact of Max waking up in Lucas's arms at the beginning of episode 7. I took an hour break in between episodes, so it's probably more of a me thing, you know, than anyone else, but yeah, none of the tension really carried over for me. I mean, I still loved the scene because Max and Lucas are by far the best couple in the show and they make me very emotional, but it was just a little more underwhelming than I was expecting due to how they structured it. Also, what the fuck does Max mean when she says, turns out I didn't need Kate Bush, I just needed you? The entire reason why she was shut out the first time is because the tape ended and the song stopped. And the only reason she made it through this time is because Lucas kept the song playing even though the demos were chasing them. Okay, right, editing Sam here, hello. Just to say, I understand this now. It's not because the radio ended, it's because Lucas lifted his hand off of hers, that's why she couldn't get through. So, it is because of Lucas, not the song. My fault. I apologize. Let's move on. And another thing, sorry, I'll move on from this scene soon, I promise. Why on earth does Elle react so tamely to Max being alive? I actually show more emotion in my face when my parents bring back Maltesers from the shops for me. And why does Max not question the fact that Hopper is still alive, considering that she never found that information out? Seriously, this like 15-minute stretch of Volume 2 is just weird, and the writing's not great at it. I'm sorry. Anyway, time for something that I did really enjoy about Volume 2, and that was anything and everything to do with Steve and Dustin. Their fight was brutal and hard to watch, but both were making absolute sense, and seeing Dustin actively trying to fight Steve and give into his inner anger, while Steve just tries to calm him down, is heartbreaking. I saw an interview with Gator Mazzarato where he says that if Dustin isn't sad or angry all the time, he feels like he's grieving wrong, and that's why he's always seeking conflict and putting himself in those types of situations. I was so happy to see them mend their friendship in such a beautiful way and finally acknowledge that, yeah, they are best friends, and I'm honestly happy that the Duffers gave these two a little conflict in their relationship. Dustin and Steve have always been amazing, don't get me wrong, but they were kind of a little bit too perfect. Something had to happen to draw a rift between them, and Eddie's death was a perfect catalyst for that. Now let's talk about another scene that you've also probably seen a lot about on social media. The Jonathan and Nancy breakup? proposal, unproposal, love confession thing? I'm gonna be honest, this might be one of the weirdest scenes in all of Stranger Things in terms of writing, because look, I understand what they were going for. You know, Jonathan and Nancy have been through so much together, they are trauma bonded, and when you have that kind of bond with someone, you start to feel suffocated and like you can't escape them, which is why they've both been slowly and subtly distancing themselves from each other for so long. Jonathan thought that marriage would fix this, but he realizes that it would actually suffocate them both more, which is why at the end of the scene, they break up. Except it doesn't sound like a breakup. The scene is written so confusingly that literally everyone interpreted it in different ways. So many people, including myself, thought that it was them saying, hey, we fucked up, but let's start over and try to be better for each other. Others saw it as a, let's stay as we are because we love each other, but no, apparently, according to the Duffer Brothers, it was a breakup. The last thing that they said to each other was, I love you. Look, I get the meaning of the scene, and I think it makes sense with their characters. Okay, I do. Like, the concept of the scene on paper, I fuck with. But when you write a scene so confusingly that it goes from a love confession to a confession about what they don't love about each other to a proposal to a non-proposal to a breakup but still with love, and the audience still don't know what's happening, you've done something wrong. I think it's a fitting end to their relationship thematically, but I just wish the writing made more sense. Holly Wheeler, though, is such a big positive for me this season. I feel like especially in Volume 2, she really gets to shine, and Nell Fisher gives an absolutely killer performance in this role, especially considering she was like, what, 12 when this filmed? She keeps up very capably with Sadie Sink, and that is no mean feat for such a young actress. Her arc is really powerful, and Loki kind of mirrors Eddie Munson's arc from season 4 in a weird way. It's about not running away and finding the courage to stand up for what's right and the greater good. And also, I have to say that her being within a few inches of Nancy's grasp only for Vecna to just yoink her back to the hellscape. Brutal. Pretty hilarious, though. Speaking of the hellscape or the abyss, whatever it's called, I like it. And I like the lore explanation for what the Upside Down actually is. It sets up a really interesting finale, to be honest, because we're finally going to be exploring a new dimension that we've barely seen any of. Like, we thought the Upside Down was the final destination, but it was only the tip of the iceberg, and that's a really cool thing to realize. Vecna is awesome and intimidating as always, but I can't help but feel there's something missing from him this season, and that's a motivation. We know that he wants to merge the surface world and the abyss using the Upside Down as a bridge, but why? What purpose does it serve, and why does he want to do this? Create a new world? A new world full of what? I just feel like there's something missing here, but I'm optimistic that we're going to find out what it is in the finale. Derek is my absolute fucking goat. I wish he had a bit more to do in Volume 2, but every scene that he was in, he absolutely stole. Jake Connolly is a delight to watch, and he's so funny. I can't wait to see what role he plays in the finale. Oh yeah, and I should probably talk about this little fucker too, huh? Yeah, me and Hopper feel the same way about this character. So, Carly's back in the show, and what does she do? Nothing, really. Like, I'm sorry, right? But all she really does is stress Eleven out, tell her to kill herself, and then just fade into the background and awkwardly stand there in every scene. Like, seriously, she's just there all the time, but doing nothing and looking out of place. Even in Will's coming out scene. Why is she here? I get what her motivation is, though. Eleven was infused with Henry Crill's blood, and that's what makes her so valuable to the military as they're trying to restart Brenner's program and infuse pregnant women with that same blood. But, like, how about she and Elle, after all this is done, try and shut down the whole military branch that's behind this? Carly says that if Dr. K dies, then she'll just be replaced, so why not at least try to shut down the operation instead of just killing yourself first? I don't think Elle needs to die. Like, I think there's other ways you can go about it. It's just a bit of a headache, to be honest, and I don't like that it's all that this character is contributing to the show. Like, it's just a bit of a waste. Why bring back Carly if you're barely gonna do anything with her? I know that there's a lot more in this volume that I've not really talked about because it's just such a big show, but these are all the points that I feel strongly about in one way or another. There are other characters that I really liked, like Lucas, Robin and her girlfriend Vicky, and then there are a bunch of characters that I'm just kind of neutral to this season, like Joyce and Murray. It's like, yeah, okay. You're there. Overall, like I said, I had a fun time watching these 3 episodes. But I also had more criticisms of Volume 2 than I did with Volume 1. Okay, look, I'm an honest man. That being said, I do still really like Season 5 overall, and I am very intrigued to see where it goes in the finale. By the way, you can see my reaction to the finale and the rest of the show on my Reacts channel, QWERTY Reacts, link in the description down below. Thank you very much. Shameless plug done. Fucking nice one. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I really do appreciate it. Please do subscribe as well. It would mean a lot, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.